music, why are you always playing worship music? Play something else, okay? But then one day he was like, he's going for this party, that do I want to come? To sum it all up, I was borderline depressed. You are the one who reigns from above. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Naya. If it's your first time here, I am a faith and lifestyle YouTuber and I'm based in Canada. Guys, I'm so excited to be filming this video today. I feel like I've wanted to film it for so long. I feel like I just kept overthinking it, but yeah, finally ready to talk about this. I just wanted to share my testimony on how God saved me a few years ago, and I really hope that it encourages you guys. I don't even know where to start from, but I'll just start from like the very beginning. So basically, I grew up in a Christian family. I grew up Catholic, and all like through my life I have been very conscious that like there is a God, or like there's like God, and like God created me and all that. So that was never really a question in my life. But the point where God actually became like real to me, I was like, oh okay, like God is not he's not just someone that we worship on Sundays and we can pray to when we need to find things, or when you're confused or like let's understand that like God is someone that wants to have a relationship with us, and just the depth of who God is and what God wants to do in my life and the whole thing, right? So I went to a Catholic boarding school in Nigeria for like 3 years, which I did not like it wasn't the best at all, and if anything like it really did not help my relationship with God, because lots of things that they did, like it just felt very like not pleasurable. Like I'm just like, I don't like this. Like it made me not like the things that normally, like let's say for example, like because I grew up Catholic, right? So I used to like say the rosary, like all those things. But like in my Catholic school, we would literally be doing it walking around under the hot sun. If you're not saying the words out loud, they'll be like, oh, they'll like punish you for it. Like stuff like that were very extreme. It just pulled me further away from God, if anything, to be very honest. So after that, I came to Canada at like 13, and I started going to this Christian school in Canada, and it was a Pentecostal school, so it wasn't like Catholic or anything, it was Pentecostal. And I feel like that's where I really started to understand, like, you know, who God is. I started going to that school. I wouldn't even say like my relationship with God was like there yet, but it was, you know, it was almost like starting to learn about who he was. So I started at school grade 9. So when I got to grade 12, I feel like grade 12 was the year I was just like, okay, I feel like there's something here. My school had this thing where they would do like a worship night. I think it was like once a week. I had never gone for it, but like one day someone invited me to come for it, and I was like, oh yeah, sure, I'll go for it. So I went for the worship night, and basically we just like sing worship songs, like somebody like leads and like sings worship songs, and then we just like pray, and then that's it. There was never really like any preaching from what I can remember. So I was just like worship. So the first night I went there, I was like, what's going on here? Like it felt so good. It felt like I was like, damn, I have been missing out on this. Like, you know, when I couldn't explain what I was feeling, but I was just like, I love this feeling. It felt like a shift in the atmosphere almost, like. And from that day I was like, okay, I'm going to be coming for this worship night session every week. I think it was like every Thursday night. Like, I'm gonna be here, you're gonna catch me here every Thursday night, okay? So I started going for that every Thursday, and it was really good. So fast forward to the end of grade 12, I graduated, and I was going to start my first year of university in another city that was a bit far from my high school. Actually, it was in Toronto. So I was going to start my first year in Toronto. I was so happy because I'm moving out of the house. I'm going to be on my own, living it up. But anyways, yeah, I was just really happy to be moving out of my house. My mom was trying to get me to go to a school that was closer to the house. I'm like, nope, I'm going to Toronto. I'm going to Toronto, okay? So prior to like my first year, I had some sort of foundation on like the type of life I wanted to live, the type of things I wanted to do, right? When I got into uni, I'm like, yeah, no going for parties, you know, I'm going to be very careful and mindful of the friends that I make. Guys, this is how, like, so when I entered, everybody asked me like, oh, you want to go for this party? I'm like, nope, I don't go for parties, I don't do none of that. I'm just here to like study, get those grades and dip. Okay, so that's how I was doing very well. I was doing very well. This is why I say, like, be so careful of the friends that you make. No shade to anybody, by the way. But anyway, so one of my first friends, we're just friends, right? Okay, so we used to like hang out, like he'd like show me around the school because he had been there for longer than I have. So he was like, oh, there's this party happening this week. I'm like, no, I don't go for parties. So I even do like, I said no so much that even when people would come up to me and he was there, like, yeah, she doesn't go for parties, she doesn't do any of that. Okay, but then one day he was like, ah, he's going for this party, that do I want to come? I'm just like, you know what, I'm not actually doing anything today, let me just go, let me go and see what the hype is about. This is how it starts. I was like, oh, let me go see what the hype is about. And I went there and I was like, oh damn, I was like, I've been missing out too. I had so much fun. You guys, and like when I was literally thinking about this, I was like, it's so crazy the way that I went to this party. And I was like, wow, I feel like I've been missing out on something. Like, you know, I felt something there. Like I felt like, ah, this is fun, this is, you know, this is a whole vibe. I'm just like the same way that I got pulled in. And literally, you guys, in that first year I don't think I missed, maybe if I hardly missed any other parties. I'm like, yeah, I'm always gonna be coming for this. Like, I'm like, please, if there's any other party, just let me know, I'm gonna be there. Guys, that's how every weekend I started going for parties. Isn't this crazy? The same way I got so pulled in when I started going for that worship night, and I was like, oh, I'm not missing this because I felt something. I was like, oh, this feels good. It was almost the same way that when I started going for these parties, I was like, I'm actually enjoying this, right? And I'm just like, that is so crazy. That means, like, in these places, like spirits, and like when the Bible says we fight not against flesh and blood, but like spirits and principalities and all these things, like, don't take it for granted. And like a lot of times people are always asking, like, oh, as a Christian, why can't I go to a party, why can't I do this, why can't I do that? It's because like spirits are also operating in those places, and trust me, it's not the spirit of God. Okay, even all these things like Caribana festivals or all these places, someone said this the other day, and they're like, those are environments that foster sin, right? So what would a child of God be doing in like those kind of settings? I literally went from, oh, I'm not going to any party, to be like, oh, sign me up. And you guys, that's how I literally, honestly, I want to say, like, I literally backslid full on. As a Christian, it's always dicey when you have non-Christian friends when you're starting out, because let me tell you, it's easier for them to pull you back most of the time. Like, most of the time it's easier for them to pull you back. Not only did I start going for parties, I started drinking, I started just doing things that I was completely opposed to. But anyways, fast forward to after my first year, it was just, you guys, I was borderline depressed, if I'm being honest with you, because everything that year did not just go as planned. Like, it's so funny because in the midst of this, like, me literally living a sinful life, to be honest, I would literally be praying to God, like, oh God, like, can you help me do this, can you help me do that? And I would be like, oh, why is God not answering my prayers? I wasn't living a life that glorified God, but like I would still expect the promises of God to be upon my life, or like still like confess his promises, like I was doing things as though I was a child of God, if that makes sense. To my actual testimony, so throughout that first year, it was very rough, it was very shaky. I hated my program, I wasn't doing well in my program. The first year ended, so many things are going on. I had like friendship fallout, relationship, like, you guys, to sum it all up, I was borderline depressed. So I had moved back from Toronto, I moved back to my house. I think I was just working or something. I was actually just like, what is the essence of this life? Like, not talk to anybody in my house, just, yeah, I felt very alone for sure. I felt, not because people were not around me, but I felt like I had put my identity, or made my identity rely on so many things, like my friendships, relationships, academic success, how people viewed me. I had let that like define me, and when all those things failed me, I was just like, okay, what next, literally. And that's why I now started to feel like almost worthless. Like, I'm just like, what's the point, like, what's the point of my existence? Like, I don't have any friends. I had friends, but like, yeah, we're just, you know, going through a rough patch. Yeah, and everything, like my whole world was upside down. But anyways, one thing I remember was like every time that I was in the car with my sister, she would literally just be playing like worship music in the background, and sometimes it used to piss me off. I'm like, do you not have any other music to play? Like, why you always play worship music? Why are you always playing worship music? Play something else, okay? But honestly, I thank God for that, because one day she was playing one song. It's called Burdens by Jojo. Like, oh, this is actually like an upbeat gospel song. Let me Shazam it, because I didn't want to ask her just ask her the name of the song so she wouldn't think like I'm enjoying her music. So I was like, oh, let me just quickly Shazam this song, and I did. And I now said, oh, like I actually like, because it was like it was Afro gospel, like an upbeat type of gospel music. And I was like, oh, this is actually nice. So I started listening to like more songs like that, and then I came across this song called Burdens by Jojo. Bruh, that song was literally one of the things that ministered to me, because in the lyrics it had like the verse, come to me all you who are weary and heavily burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, for my burden is easy, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. And literally I listened to that song and I literally just broke down. Like, I don't know what it was. Like, I wasn't even expecting, you know, when you're going through something and you don't even know your problem. You literally don't know what is going to help you get out of it. When I listened to that song, I realized that I had been trying to like carry my burdens myself, or like I felt like I had the weight of the world on my shoulders, because I'm literally like, I was like 18. I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I don't know what career path. Like, I had planned out my career path in so way. It didn't work out. Like, I literally just, yeah, I didn't feel like I had a purpose. I didn't feel like God had like a plan for me or anything. I thought like I didn't have the right understanding of God, which just made me almost like, I'm just like, God, like, are you even a good father? Just doubt who God was, because I didn't really know who he was and understand who he was. But just listening to that song, I literally broke down, and I was just like, God, like, please, like, take this burden. Like, I can't carry it. Like, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I know that I need you to save me. I need you to like heal me, right? And that was literally it. That was summer of 2019. I will never ever forget that. Like, that summer my whole life changed. Like, my life literally changed. Just going to get to know God more, because in that moment I just felt the comfort of the Lord. I just felt like him just saying like, you're not alone. Like, I'm going to do this life with you, right? And that just led me to start just taking my relationship with God seriously, start reading my Bible more often, and actually getting to know God better. Yeah, and like some major things I just learned from that summer is like, there's nothing, you know, this verse that says, what shall it profit a man to gain the whole world yet lose his soul? And like, to me, gaining the whole world might just mean like you have everything you want, like not even just money, but like you have access to people, you have access to everything. Like, okay, if you have all that, if you have all there is to have in this world, and you don't have God, you literally have nothing. And that was just like, damn. Like, we spend so much time and effort like chasing the things of this world, meanwhile like everything is literally fleeting. Like, we're not going to be here forever. And it just really shifted and redirected my entire perspective. So fast forward to the next year, I got baptized. I'll insert clips here. Oh my gosh, it was such an amazing feeling. I just encourage people, like, life is not worth living without God. I know a lot of times people are like, I'll get serious about God later. It's not something you want to push off. It's something that like you want to do as soon as you can, because your life only gets better when you have God. Like, Jesus is the answer. If you just like make that sacrifice and make that bold step of saying like, okay, like, I'm ready to take my relationship with God seriously, I'm ready to work closer with God. If you think about like, why are people always sharing this? Like, because God is good, and we just literally want everybody to experience the life-changing presence of God in their lives, and like, it's the best thing ever. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Stay blessed.